Ladies, this episode is for you. At the incessant nagging of my editor, I, out of the goodness of my heart, have decided to dedicate an episode specifically to you. To that end, I've decided on a movie that my sources tell me is very popular with the ladies. That movie, of course, is Twilight. Now, unfortunately, I don't actually own Twilight, because that's a movie for pubescent girls. What I have instead is something even better. It's a Twilight parody made by the guys who made Scary Movie and all those other movies that end in movie. That being, of course, Vampires Suck. Look, it was either this or a movie called Breaking Wind, and I figured this one would suck less. Get it?
Weirdflix.
Okay, I'll level with you here. I've never seen Twilight. I have only the vaguest of understandings as to what the plot of this series is. So you may be asking, Chris, why would you be watching something that you don't understand nor care about? Well, for starters, someone has to inform the world about movies like this, and it might as well be me, since no one else wants to. I'd like to get to the bottom of why I don't think vampires suck. Our movie starts off at the annual Spanish Inquisition meeting. Bet you didn't expect that, did you? Here we see fake Bella, named Becca, attempting to run towards Edward. We get to see a fight between Team Edward and Jacob, and this is a fantastic start to a movie. Look at this! Hilarious. Also, we get to see that Edward has some pretty big balls. Disco balls, that is. We don't talk about crass or crude things on this channel. Becca gets attacked, and we cut to the actual beginning of this film. She's driving with her dad.
And look, I know I said I was never going to talk about another actor by name again, but for this guy I just have to. He's a well-known character actor by the name of Dietrich Vader, who's been in everything from Batman the Brave and the Bold, where he was Batman, to The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, where he played Hoss Delgado. He's even been in a few bad movies that I happen to own and might have to review someday.
But for now, he's Becca's dad and a cop. And look, he kept her room just the way she likes it. I guess it's been a few years. They go outside to meet her dad's friends, the local Native Americans. Let's hear how things are going.
Becca, you remember Bobby White?
Yeah. You're looking good.
Good. I'm in a wheelchair. I can't feel anything below my waist. You know what's below my waist? My
Not well, it seems. Here we meet the low-budget Jacob, and he's... I guess he's passable. He and Becca share a conversation while nothing of interest happens in the background. He's very flexible. How can he do that?
Jacob, your foot.
Ever since puberty, I've been feeling a little different.
Fun fact. Apparently turning into a werewolf is a metaphor for something.
I'll give you 3 guesses as to what it is.
Please tell me that this metaphor is appropriate for our family-friendly channel.
Not even close.
Dang it! I'm disappointed, but alas, not surprised.
Well, what did you expect from the inspiration for 50 Shades of Grey?
Oh, yeah. 50 Shades. I forgot about that.
He chases a cat and Becca heads off to school. Here she gets bullied relentlessly for being the new girl, and I'm reminded of my first days at school. Ah, the memories. She meets her plucky sidekick character, as well as popular boy and girl. I'm only calling them this because I don't remember their names. And then we get to see the goth kids in the school, the Sullens. Oh, now I get it. Because they're sad that they're vampires. Now that's comedy. We get to see the lead Sullen, Edward, and now that I get a better look at him, he makes a really decent Robert Pattinson body double. He's also not a terrible actor and does a pretty good job of making fun of the source material. All the actors in this movie are pretty good, but I like him the most. They start a running joke that vampires are Canadians.
They moved here a few years ago, and they're like super weird. It's a total mystery. Their skin is ice cold. They feed on human flesh, and they all sleep in coffins. Maybe they're Canadian.
Also, they explain why Becca and Edward keep looking at each other.
Oh, you guys are having like an instant connection.
How can you tell?
Duh, Hardwick 101. You're both staring at each other in slow motion, which, although cheesy and obvious, it underscores your respective yearnings.
Very helpful. They go to bio class and apparently Becca smells, but it looks like it's just her lunch.
Oh, it reminds me of that casserole from Blood-Sucking Pharaohs. Look, stop putting gross food in your movie. Nobody wants to see that.
Anyway, they talk, and Edward shows off his sweet juggling skills. Didn't really stick the ending, though. They meet each other in the parking lot after school, where Edward saves Becca from a car accident by using the body of plucky sidekick guy as a shield. I'm laughing as I read that line. And we get some nasty looking bone effects.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable.
Jacob comes to visit Becca after school bringing her gifts. How sweet. And she's got some equally kind words back.
Thanks, Jacob. You're so sweet and thoughtful. Any girl would be lucky to have you. Just not me, of course. You're like my little gay brother.
Oh my god, that's like a triple hit combo. Walk away, Jacob, you poor, poor wolf man. Earlier in the day, a poor fisherman is about to have a very bad catch. These three look familiar, but I can't put my finger on it.
You know who we are, don't you? Yes? You're the Black Eyed Peas!
Oh, that's right. Wait, who are the Black Eyed Peas?
Wait, you don't know the Black Eyed Peas? Boom Boom Pow, I got a feeling, let's get it started, where's the love, my humps, I'm a bee? These were the best songs of the early 2000s.
Can't say I've heard of them. Are they in any way related to the California Raisin Band?
No, not at all. They're a hip-hop group. Jeez, Chris, get with it. You're so 2000 late.
You know, this guy might be the only person to be able to take a vampire in hand-to-hand combat. I'm legitimately impressed. How did he do it?
That's right! Mixed martial arts, Taibo, and Yoga Lattes created this!
See, kids, you too can fistfight vampires. Or not. Well, sucks for him. Back at Becca's house, her dad is going to look for the killer, but he wants to make sure she can protect herself.
I'm gonna come at you. And I want you to mace me. I've been trained for this, okay?
Sorry, Dad.
No, I'm proud of you. Mace will only temporarily stop your attacker. You have to hit a man where he breathes, Becca. I'm still coming at you. Rip off the mustache, sweetheart.
But you love your mustache.
If anything happened to you, I could not live with myself. Do it! Do it! Do it!
I can't think of a single thing to add to this scene. I'm straight up speechless. That night, Edward acts like a real creep by breaking into Becca's house to watch some of her nocturnal habits.
You're sleepwalking.
Becca goes to school the next day and we see that the prom is coming up. The theme is some obscure festival about some saint that kills vampires. Basically, that scene at the beginning was a prom, not an actual festival. She goes to talk to Edward about being a Canadian, but wait, what did she list off there?
Say it. Out loud. Say it.
Jonas brother.
That's right. Wait, what?
Oh, he's not Canadian, he's a Jonas brother. See, I told you so. Edward shows off his cool vampire skills, nothing really of note here. He kills Alice from Alice in Wonderland and gives a squirrel vampirism, as well as explaining why all the dialogue in the movie is spot on.
I can read everybody's minds but yours. You have to tell me exactly what you're thinking.
It all makes sense now. They decide to go to the prom together, and he shows up in her room later that night.
What happens next is a scene that, because this is a family channel, we can't really show you. The gist of it is that they're a couple now.
Wow. This is the first intimate scene that we're covering on the channel, you know. They just grew up so fast, you know. Just like yesterday we were doing Horror of Party Beach and Dead Heat, and we just had our first apology video last week. Look at Weirdflix. She's all grown up. Oh.
Hopefully it'll be the last. I don't have the patience for this lovey-dovey stuff. Get on with the monsters, that's my motto.
That night, I think, Becca's dad and the Native Americans go out hunting the Canadians, with dog boy Jacob leading the way. The following day, Becca and Edward go to the Sullens for Becca's birthday, where they meet a bunch of inconsequential nobodies, except for one of them. I don't remember her name, though. We get a horrible effect of Bella's head turning into a hamburger, and then she gets a paper cut on one of her presents. I thought this scene was actually really funny, where she just keeps bleeding in front of the vampires.
Perhaps watching these movies has warped my sense of humor. I worry about myself.
Edward complains about how his family always does this when he has a girl over.
Every time I bring a girl home, you guys try to eat her. It's not fair!
He feeds a delivery man to them, and then takes off with Becca in tow thanks to his vampire super speed. Wait, I meant vampire Segway. They break up, I guess, since Edward doesn't want to turn her into a vampire, nor see her get hurt.
I couldn't live with myself if I turned you into a vampire. You're always sexy and healthy and super good looking with tons of free time and money to travel the world. It's a lot like being George Clooney. Strangely, the only thing that does keep aging is your Gets pretty wrinkly over time.
Also, it turns out the only part of a vampire that ages is their butt. Why? I don't know. I'm going to remember this though for future reference. It seems important.
Becca, since she was left in vampire-infested woods, obviously is found by the evil vampire. However, Edward just straight up takes one's head off with a baseball bat. Really awesome stuff. The others still bit Becca and apparently poisoned her? Are vampires snakes now? Edward has to suck the poison out, which he does, and then leaves her again. We get a time skip ahead with a collage of Edward lookalikes, followed by Becca being an angsty teen, as scientifically measured by her father. He suggests she hangs out with her popular friend, which leads to the movie no longer parodying Twilight, but instead actively making fun of it. Take a look.
I can't believe they get married and have a vampire baby.
They really went for the low-hanging fruit on that one.
Fun fact about that vampire baby that I read online and refused to fact check because that would mean I'd have to look up something about Twilight. Apparently the reason that Jacob is attracted to Bella in the first place is because he's actually attracted to the soul of that unborn vampire baby. I have no idea why the books chose to mention this or why anybody would make it a plot point in a form of media, but I had to know it and now so do you.
Anyway, Becca encounters some bikers and the ghost of Edward comes to visit her for some reason. This convinces her to do dangerous things to get his attention, like learn how to ride a motorcycle from a werewolf. Jacob takes this opportunity to ask her out, and now he looks like that time Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson went on to SNL to play Bambi.
Am I the only one who thinks that? Okay.
He asks Bella to prom, and she soundly rejects him, then cuts the brake lines on the motorcycle and drives off. This causes her to see Ghost Edward again as she plays guitar and drinks milk, despite her lactose intolerance.
Becca! Don't drink that milk. You know you're lactose intolerant.
This is for you, Edward.
She crashes, because of course she does, and we have to see more of the gross werewolf effects in this movie. I'll spare you the agony of having to see him shirtless. He goes to get help, and Becca gets captured by Coolio Vampire. Apparently the redhead is no longer in this movie as she was recast, or something.
What happened to Rachel?
She was recast.
Becca is saved by Jacob and his Chihuahua powers.
How original. I would never have guessed that unless I'd seen Fred 2, Night of the Living Fred.
Not only that, but he has help.
It's raining men. Hallelujah, it's raining men.
Get him, girl!
If you count body parts, I guess it's raining men.
Oh, and Jacob has either been replaced by a new actor, or the makeup he's been wearing for the first 2/3 of this movie was doing a really good job at making him look bad. We catch up with Edward, who's been handling the breakup really well. Also, either the original The Fly was in the public domain, or this movie paid for the use of it. Who knows? That vampire from earlier comes in to tell him she's worried about Becca, because she had a vision.
She has visions of the future. I forgot to mention that. If you care that I forgot to mention that, why?
Edward reveals he's dating Lady Gaga.
Finally found someone as freaky as me.
My first wish, music up this necklace. My second wish, girls rocking the hottest.
Too freaky.
But other girl says she has a vision that Becca might be dead. Edward calls the house and Jacob picks up, interrupting probably my favorite scene in the movie.
Why did you just take off your shirt?
My contract says I have to every 10 minutes of screen time.
I don't know why. Maybe it's the way he looks at the camera, but this is easily my favorite part of the movie.
Through some classic miscommunication, Edward thinks Becca's dead and goes off to reveal himself so he will be killed. Other vampire girl finishes having a vision after Edward leaves, so she goes to find Becca. Becca is picked up in a car by vampire girl and goes to the prom, which takes us back to the opening of the film. Becca meets up with the now naked Edward, who has exposed himself to the crowd. The evil vampires are not happy about this, so they start to fight Edward. This leads to a great section of the movie where Edward and the lead vampire, played by Ken Jeong, square off at the prom. They mess with the music, they throw yearbooks at each other, they even get a picture. You don't often see a fight scene at a prom, so I give this movie credit for originality. Becca's dad shows up at one point, where the man in the wheelchair continues to cuss Becca out.
Becca, by the way, thanks for everything.
Eventually, a stalemate is reached where Becca has to be turned in order for them both to stay alive. However, the evil vampires are chosen as prom king and queen because the popular kids put in a city's population worth of fake votes for themselves. Edward proposes to Becca so he can bite her, he turns her into a vampire, and they all live happily ever after. Until Edward takes a nail bat to the head. Whoa! I thought Negan only fought zombies. It looks like Team Jacob wins. Until Becca unleashes some pent-up teen angst on those preteens, finally proving once and for all that vampires suck.
Like Chris, I've never seen any of the Twilight movies, nor have I read any of the books. Now, don't get me wrong, I was definitely an angsty teenager. As a matter of fact, I still am an angsty teenager. But I consume my vampire media differently. Take, for example, Castlevania, Sirius the Jaeger, and Fall Out Boys. A little less 16 Candles, a little more Touch Me music video. Frankly, I've never had any urge to watch Twilight, mainly because of the toxic masculinity themes riddled throughout. Take Jacob and Edward. They're packaged as being these two completely different guys, but really they're both overly possessive of Bella. This is why Vampire Sucks is such a great movie. It shows you how bad Twilight really is. You strip away Robert Pattinson and what you're left with is basically a girl who plays the victim all the time, strings along a guy because she's in love with another guy who is no good for her. Twilight is also completely anti-feminist because Bella is constantly dependent on Edward and Jacob. This is why Vampire Sucks is a feminist film, because it shows that relying on men is stupid. Not to mention the blatant Handmaid's Tale reference at the beginning and at the end with all of those red cloaks. That's definitely not a coincidence if you ask me. Well, that's all I got for today. Arrivederci. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Alex, for once again trying to attribute a deeper meaning to one of these movies. It never ceases to amuse me that you think there's more going on than there actually is. As for me, I didn't think I was going to enjoy this movie. I went into this knowing that most of these parody films are hot garbage. However, I kind of thought this one was charming. Maybe it's because of all the different ways they made fun of Twilight, or maybe it's because I thought the effort that they put in deserved the tiniest amount of respect. Or maybe, just maybe, I thought that this was an actual funny film and think that everybody should watch it. No, I don't think it was that last one. However, if you have a morbid curiosity about Twilight and would like to find out about it without watching the actual movies, I heartily recommend this. This is basically your best option. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Weirdflix. Please come back next time when we'll be reviewing Zombies Bite, the musical parody of World War Z. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and remember, Weirdflix watches what no one else will.